Good morning and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nick Eels and I lead product and development at Aforza. I'm really excited to welcome you to this Spring 22 release webinar, where I'm going to be talking through all of the new enhancements we've made to the Aforza product and helping you understand how to drive value for your business from these new features. So the webinar is going to take about 45 minutes to an hour. As I mentioned, I lead product and development for Aforza. I'm there on the left, but I'm joined by my two product managers today, Kate Young, who looks after our retail execution, and Lyle Endersby, who's in charge of our revenue growth management parts of the business. And I'm really excited to introduce them to you today and let them talk about all the great new functionality that they're bringing into the Aforza product suite for you to use. So I'm going to start by giving you a quick release overview of what's happened in the release and give you that high-level view of what we've made available to you. And then I'm going to hand over to Kate, who's going to talk you through some of the great new web enhancements that we've got. And then finally, Lyle, who's going to talk you through some of our mobile features and capabilities that have been released. So let me go through an overview of what we've done in this release. This is our 9th release that we've managed to release simultaneously across the 4 platforms of Salesforce, Google, and then Android and iOS. We've introduced roughly 400 new features or fixed bugs that you've raised with us. And these features, again, are being driven 100% by what our customers are looking for and by our strategic vision on how we want to move the consumer goods industry forward and provide you with that competitive advantage when you go to market. And of course, we have a lot of documentation. We've got release notes, we've got how-to guides, we've got the overall documentation for the entire application. That's all been updated and is all available to you. If you don't know how to access it, please reach out to your customer success team member who can give you access to the portal or can send you the documentation themselves. So as I mentioned, we've got a fantastic set of release notes. There's a huge amount of stuff in here, this release. And I'm going to let Kate and Lyle go through it in detail, but some of the really interesting features I want to call out are unit of measure. I think it's a fantastic new feature that's going to give you increased flexibility when you start implementing your order capture business processes. And you're going to see when Kate gives you the demonstration that there's a huge amount of flexibility there with unit of measure, allowing you to do things like selective distribution, promotions, pricing on individual units of measure. So it's really, really exciting. And then another fantastic new feature that Kate will talk about is our guides capability. And guides is really something we're working towards as a new paradigm shift for how you do your visit execution. It's going to let you do guided selling, guided service, any sort of best practice process you need. You can put that instantly in the hands of your field team, whether they're people that have been there, employees that have been there for many years, or whether it is a seasonal worker that's starting on day one. They're going to be able to give that same experience when they're talking to customers in the field. And then the last feature I'm going to really shout out is our new payments and partial payments capability that Lyle is going to talk through. So partial payments is a fantastic new feature used by a lot of our customers, or will be used by a lot of our customers, that gives them the flexibility to capture multiple different payments in a single transaction, to issue credit notes, to have those credit notes offset against the invoices that we're looking at. Huge amount of flexibility there and opens up a great logistics capability to our team, to our customers and our teams working in those more traditional markets. So with that, what I want to do now is hand over to Kate, who's going to talk you through the first half of our features, mainly focused on our web enhancements. So thank you again for joining us today. And Kate, I will hand it over to you.
Thanks for the introduction, Nick. So I'd like to talk to you about some of the really exciting updates we've made to Aforza Cloud for Spring 22. We've made some incredible developments to our visit planning capabilities with guides for both design and logic-driven navigation. We've added some easy-to-use authorization to our digital asset management implementation, not to mention the addition of a unit of measure within our order capture process, as well as pricing enhancements. So, first off, let's get the formalities out of the way with the object model changes. In order to support features in both cloud and mobile, we have made a number of object updates. First off, the addition of credit note. This really enables you to track and understand your payment transactions and invoice settling at an account level. Next, we have the unit of measure object. This has been put in place to enable the creation of product hierarchies containing varying product units of measure. Finally, some additional guide-specific objects that support the new beta release of the Logic Builder. So let's take that a little further and dive a little deeper into some of these areas to show you how they can support you and your business. So first off, let's begin with our digital asset management progression. In Winter 21, we introduced asset upload, download and management, the ability to search and filter your asset catalogue, as well as doing some basic functionality of renaming an asset or copying a link to an asset so you can view it externally to this. This is allowing users to collate groups of assets against products, accounts, promotions in order to really facilitate those product pitches and upsell opportunities when you are working with those key accounts. In order to move towards more detailed asset management creation, we have implemented an authorization permission set. This helps determine who will have access to what assets and will be able to perform what actions against them. And this will enable us to move forward with things like contracts and financial and compliance assets without risk. So as you can see here, the structure of the authorization piece, we have introduced 3 basic users. You have a read-only user, which is a DAM viewer. We have a DAM contributor, which enables people to interact and manage their own assets. And we also have the DAM manager, which means that they have access to view and edit all assets within the asset catalogue. So as we move forward to more confidential data that you might want to hold in your asset catalogue, it's important that we put these security measures in place for you to really support that journey. So, moving on next to guides. If you're looking for a really guided experience for your face-to-face interactions with your customers, this is a really great area to work with. Our extensive set of data collection elements can help you obtain the most valuable data sets to drive forward your strategic decisions for each or collective accounts. So as part of the Spring 22 release, we have pushed forward with the implementation of the Logic Builder. And that works in conjunction with these design elements that you can see on the screen at the moment. So here we have some survey elements that we have been adding to throughout Spring. And this is what will make up your guide design. What happens next is the Logic Builder. So here we have conditional statements that allow you to navigate your users throughout unique journeys to take them on the best direction for that particular account and that particular data set. The tool really helps to facilitate a tailored visit based on the answers that are being provided for the question set. The UI that we have implemented really simplifies and really helps you refine this process where it can potentially become quite complex because you are dealing with a multitude of conditional statements. This implementation really just marks the beginning of guides for Aforza. We are set to expand the power of this tool over coming releases, and we really hope that your excitement will join ours so we can work together to create some fantastic guides to really optimise your face-to-face interactions with your customers to get the most out of them. So moving on next, we have the eagerly anticipated unit of measure implementation. This functionality is available through order capture, promotions and assortments, and is highly configurable to meet the needs of your product modelling catalogue. Our UI enhancements allow for a fast product selection and quantity adjustments through a simple modal when you are selecting a particular product that has been modelled to be part of a unit of measure. This feature also enables independent or related pricing, where each unit can have a unique price, or it could be a cumulative value based on a single unit. It's also rule-driven visibility for applicable accounts, where, let's say, large consumers might see units of measure available to them for bulk purchasing. Or if you have some small customers like corner shops, they could maybe have singles or small packs available to them on the order. That's all within your control of how you want to configure this modal to really optimize that journey for that customer and help your sales representatives along the way. So while we are around the area of order capture and pricing, the next great enhancement we've introduced is manual order level discounts. If you want your sales reps to have the flexibility to grant controlled discounts at the point of order completion, then this is the area you'd be doing it. You can apply percentage or value-based discretionary discounts during execution to really sweeten the deal for your customers without having to apply individual product line discounting, which is very time-consuming when you could do it at an order level. It's a real time-saving and great negotiation tool for those upsell opportunities in the field. But that's not all. We now also support promotions and commercial policies working together, offering strategic and tactical financial alterations for groups of customer accounts rather than through individual account applications. This essentially means you can target huge groups with the right prices at the right time with little to no effort. We also have introduced grouped tax calculation. This allows you to have flexibility based upon localization and different rules of taxation, where you can apply different calculation strategies to support varying tax rules. This is a config setting that can be put in place and it will then apply to your entire solution. So moving forward from this, I'm going to take you through a little demo to show you a couple of these key features and how they work on our Aforza Cloud implementation. So now I'm going to take you through the web journey so you can see UOM working. So here we have an account. I have stepped into the related tab and I'm going to create a new order. So we'll just fill in this basic information. I'm going to assign it an inventory. Let's use today's date. Save. And we're going to go and configure that order. So let's give it a name of unit of measure. So as you can see, your product catalogue doesn't look drastically different. You've still got all of your items on the left hand side. Now the difference being, when you select to add to the cart an item that has configured unit of measure family behind it, you will be presented with a modal. But standard products that don't have that configuration will just be added as you're used to. So for instance here, if I were to add the Duke Premium Blend, just add it to the cart. As you expect, just add it into the cart. No further steps. You can still adjust the quantity when it's within the cart, which will affect the pricing. Now, if I were to add the Duke Fresh Blend, which I have configured already to have the unit of measure product structure, When I select the plus, I am then presented with the unit of measure modal. So as you can see here, you've got varying different types of unit of measure. You've got a pack, which is for 4-piece, you've got a 6-piece pack, you've got a 24-piece case, you've got a 100-piece pallet. Now each of these can be configured. You can have whatever naming conventions you want that will suit your products. You can have as many as you want. It just depends on the structure that you've got in place. You can see here the product codes, they are all different in this particular example, but that's not a necessity. You can have them all being the same. It just depends on ERP. As you can see here, we've got some stock levels, which is why I associated it with a particular inventory, just to give you an example of how it can look in this modal. And each of them have their own line price. Now I can adjust the quantity of each of these items, and as you will see, the subtotal will increase. So let's just add a couple here, and I'm going to add those to the cart. Now what will happen is each of those units of measure with their assigned quantity will be added to the cart, and you will then see the subtotal, and it works alongside the standard product that you've already added. If I wanted to add some more of these, let's say I wanted to just add a couple more of the 4-packs, I could easily go in here and just increase this particular quantity, or I could go back and configure another UOM modal. So what we do is when we are adding again from the catalogue, it's cleared out, so this is almost treated as a fresh config, but it will add it to your order and attach it to those that are already in place. So for instance, if I do want to add another 4 pieces, and perhaps a 6-piece, you'll see that this then goes up to 6, and we have added an additional line item. So that in its essence is unit of measure in the order capture process. Now, as you can see, it looks very simple. The configuration is fairly straightforward. So I'll show you that briefly. So what we have here is the parent product, which is the Duke Fresh Blend traditional beverage. So this is your standard single item that you can configure to actually be present within your unit of measure. This one I have not put in as a single. But when you come down to the lower part of your related items, you'll see here that we've added this new section, which is the UOM child products. And in here, you can create new products with their assigned UOM against them. So if, for instance, I go into the 24 case, you'll see here that it has its own price book. It has an assortment that it belongs to, which is what is required in order for it to show up in the catalogue. You have which inventory it belongs to, you have an image that you can assign to it, so you can have it where your sales representatives recognise particular imagery, which makes for quicker optimised journey through the order capture process. You can also create digital assets against this, should you be interested in our digital asset management. And that is really unit of measure. So what I also want to show you while going through this order is another feature that we've added, which is the manual order level discounts. So as you can see here, we've got a cart total, so it's £286.99. Now if you interact with this cart total, you can see here the breakdown. Now we've added a new selectable element, which when selected will go into these discounts that we've created. So I've created 2 here and assigned them to a commercial policy that applies to this particular account. Only one of them can be applied at a time, but you can do here, so we've got a manual discount percentage, so perhaps I want to add 25% to this particular customer, and I can apply it. Now when I go back to the financial summary, you can see here that I've got a manual discount percentage, and this is the amount that has come off of the subtotal of the cart. Now if I wanted to then change that and have an absolute figure, I could come in here and say, actually I want to give them £80 off. So we can then apply that. As you can see, it's cleared off the percentage. Like I said, you can only apply one at a time, but you can apply that and it will go back to your financial summary, and it will show you here that this is the discretionary discount that's been added, and therefore your subtotal has changed again. So these are some really powerful tools that we've added to the order capture process in order to streamline when you are processing an order. So what I want to show you next is a little sneak peek at our guides. So what we have here, and you may be familiar with this from what we showed you as part of the winter webinar, but we are pushing it much further, so I would really like to show you how that works. So I'm just going to create a new guide, and the purpose behind guides currently is that they act like surveys, so it's a question set. Now we're going to be pushing that really far, so we are going to be introducing logic, we are going to be introducing processes, we're going to be introducing image capture and visit journaling, so you can mark off items that you've completed as part of the visit. You can do an audit, you can do an order. There is no end to this feature. It's a very exciting part of Aforza that we are moving towards. So just to pare it back to basics a little bit, you've got the designer here. So the way this works is you have these survey elements. Now these are designer elements that we have added as part of the spring release. So we had a few basics that were these four up here, but we've now added some additional ones. We've got a number. Let's drag and drop this on here. So perhaps we're asking about stock levels. So maybe the question could be, how many different brands are visible on the gondola? Oh, gondola. Okay, and we've said yes, it requires an answer, so that's fine. So a number field will look like this. It's just a text box. The input will be numerical, so we add that to the guide. Excellent. Now let's add another one, for example. So if we do, how many promotional displays are within the store? Oh, hang on, no. Is there a promotional palette display in the store? Sorry, got my questions confused there. So here we're using the toggle. So you can either switch it on or off depending on what the answer is. So this is what the user will see, and they can then interact with that as you would do with most web toggles. So let's add that one to the guide. Now these guide elements can be repositioned. So you've got step 1 and 2. These are renameable. You can also add additional design elements. Let's pick something else. Let's go with date picker. So you can add another one to a block that say, what is the date of your visit? They will receive this as their UI element when they're executing. Brilliant. So again, these particular designer elements can be relocated within their block. So you can decide kind of what order you want your sales representative to answer them in. And this will become quite apparent when you're dealing with the logic builder. So let's wiggle this one back up because I'm going to show you briefly what the logic builder does with this data. So when you come into the logic builder, slightly different UI, but as you can see here, you've got the steps. So these have been surfaced from the designer. They all represent the questions that you have asked in there. So as you can see, you've got these questions in their sections. So what you would do is add a conditional block. So you can see here that we've got a conditional statement. So this is for a number question. So there are particular logic statements that relate to the number data input. So you've got equals, not equals, less than an or equal to, greater than, etc., etc. So what we'll do is select between. So how many different brands are visible on your gondola? You've got between 2 and 10. Now, depending if they answer between 2 and 10, they will then be driven to step 2, block 1. So that's a very sequential step. Now, what you might want to do is add an alternative path. So perhaps you want to come in here and select if it is less than or equal to 0. And then you want to add a different condition. So you're looking at the sentence structure of what the data is coming back as. So for instance, if you're asking a question about how many brands are visible and you're saying, is it equal to 0? No. Okay, what is the next part of that statement? So you press add, and you've got here another condition. So this is part of the same rule. So if perhaps we say less than or equal to 0, or equals 1. So here you have an any rule. So as you can see here, you've got an or statement. So you've got less than or equal to 0, or it can be equal to 1. Now, obviously, that's probably not the most efficient way of asking that question. But as you can see, you can add multiple conditional statements that they have to meet. So this is an or you can have it as an all. So an all statement is where it's an and. So both of these need to be met. Now this would currently be impossible, as you wouldn't be able to meet 0 and 1. So we'll stick to any. And the validator on this will help you sort of guide your way through this process of building a logic builder. But as you can see, you're creating alternative paths. So, oh, that's inconvenient because I've only created one step. So let's have a look. So if I create another step, let's pop one in here, multiple choice tags. So I'll add step 3. How many products are on the top shelf? So answers, we've got less than 2, 2 to 5, let's do it 3 to 6, 7 to 10, oops, or 10 plus. Brilliant. Okay, so this is what they'll see. You might want to add an other option if perhaps you don't want to cover off all eventualities, and perhaps you want to say you want to allow for multiple answers. In this particular case, it wouldn't make sense, but there are occasions where that would be a helpful way for them to fill in data quickly rather than having to add loads and loads of questions. Right then, so now we've got a step 3. Let's step back into the logic builder. And then we can direct them to step 3, block 1. So as you can see here, you're taking separate routes depending upon the input back from your sales reps or your key account managers. So you're creating custom journeys in order to facilitate whatever needs that particular store has. Perhaps you're looking at product compliance, or perhaps you're looking at stock numbers. Perhaps you want to drive forward conversation around a new promotion coming. It's completely up to you how you want to curate these guides, but there's a lot of power behind it, and we're really excited about the next steps and where we want to take this. So keep an eye out. We'll be providing some updates, but the roadmap is really exciting for guides, and hopefully we can take you along for that journey with us. Thanks very much. I will now hand you over to Lyle, who will take you through mobile.
Thanks, Kate. So excited to see how Guides is progressing. It looks great. Spring 22 on mobile, a lot to be excited for as well, across Android and iOS, tablet and smartphone. Across 4 platforms, we have exciting new features and improvements. Mobile platform, with every release, we're improving syncing and error handling, and Spring 22 is no different. More application performance improvements, like around order capture, as well as very excited to see digital asset management integrated into retail execution. So everywhere we have resources tabs on our objects, that's on objects like accounts, products, visits, as well as audits now. As of Spring 22, audits now supports resources for planograms, as well as fully integrated with our digital asset management solution. So very excited to be able to show this. We'll also be noticing some new UI designs across the application. This will be visible in our custom objects forms, and where you're able to create and edit accounts, our audit start screen and edit screen, visit now, schedule or edit, payments, payment methods, and our order start and complete pages have all had new improvements on UI. So really excited to see these and show these off, as well as mobile configuration, a lot more control around items. Like if you notice in my menu, I have home, visits, accounts, and products, but no inventories. So we now support configuration to toggle objects into the menu and out of the menu. So you have full control over that. Now, it doesn't mean I won't have inventory insights during order capture. Those will still be available. If we also have the ability now to control, create, and edit for objects. So as you can see, I went into edit an account, but if I navigated over to the visits tab, for example, here, you see I no longer have the option in the top right to create visits. So if there was a situation where visits should only be scheduled and no ad hoc visits should be allowed, you can configure this and enforce these policies. And obviously you can turn this on and off. I'm going to click through to our first visit at Fresh Start London and start off with my first task, which is a planogram and stock audit. Here you will see our new tablet UI and retail audits functionality. So we've got improved header, as you can see, slides away and comes back. So we also support this new modern trade grid with inline editing. So these are all to support efficiency improvements. So it is really quick and easy to complete a survey in the field across many audit assets. As you can see, you can slide the columns to the left. We also support a new gear icon. Here you are able to toggle on and off the columns that you'd like. So if you want to optimize your layout, you have that full control now. You can also, with our new grid layouts, capture, photographs straight from the grid layout. So again, another efficiency improvement. If I click on Resources tab, you can see we now also support DAM PDFs to be able to view planogram images during the process whilst I'm completing my audit. So really functional and practical. If you hard press on one of the product names or the audit asset names, we still support the grids and tabs layout. So the tabs layout within the grids form here, so you can still control your tabs. So you have both experiences working nicely together. So what we can do here is we can complete this audit and we have that task ticked. We're going to go on to capture an order. We've had a lot of improvements around our order capture experience. So I'm going to go in and start that order. Straight away, I'm going to go to promotions and I'm going to add in my fresh segment 10% off over contract pricing promotion. It's a mouthful, but what we're seeing here is the ability to add products into a promotion, into the cart. So there we can see we've got our promotion. And what I'm going to do is I'm also going to add the same product outside of promotion. So I'm looking for the Deep Fresh Blend 1 liter 4-pack. So there we have it. I'm going to add that into the cart. And let's have a look at the pricing here. So the product outside of promotion, if I push on the price, you can see we're getting a 10% discount. So it's going from $49.96 to $44.96. Now, on promotion, as we'd expect, the customer is getting a increased benefit. So the promotion is giving an additional 10% discount on that same product. Now, why this is incredibly important for situations where you have customers of a similar segment or group, but each having slightly different commercial pricing, you can now support them with one promotion. So if you had 20,000 customers and you wanted to give them the same value, an extra 5% discount, you can now do that with a single promotion, the single Aforza segment promotion. You would not need to create 20,000 promotions. So incredibly strategic and really great to see this, included into our order capture capabilities. We also now, if I go over to tap the price in the order, we have the ability to offer a discretionary discount or a manual discount percentage, so a fixed amount, fixed currency amount, or up to 50% off against the entire order. So I'm going to go ahead and sweeten the deal and put an additional 20% in there. And click on See My Recommendations. What we have here is Duke Premium Blend being recommended. Now, one of our new features is that all of our suggested products, so our AI and manually suggested products, now fall within assortments. So there's eligibility. So if a customer is not eligible for a product, they will not get a product suggestion for them. I'm going to go ahead and complete this order. Here we have our order complete page from our previous release where we can add some, post-order data and save that. We're going to toggle on and create an invoice. And we're going to go ahead and capture a signature and confirm and complete that order. Now what I'm going to do is click the 3 dots at the top right-hand side so I can go and view the account details. Here we can see the order that we've just captured, right? Over on invoices, we can see the invoice we have generated offline, right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to capture a return order. And then we're going to go and show off our new partial payment capability where we can do deductive invoice credit note, management during payment collection. So I'm just going to go back to my visit. I'm going to capture a new ad hoc return order. I'm going to start that order. I'm just going to capture some items. Go to the cart, complete that, save my changes. This time we're going to generate a credit note and capture a signature. Confirm that. Again, I'm going to use the three dots to go and view the account details. Here we should be able to see our order we have captured, as well as our return order, as well as our invoice and our credit note. If we go back to our visit, we're able to now complete our collect payment task. Here we can take a payment against an account and just enter in a value. We're going to link an invoice. Here we have our invoice. We're going to choose to pay only a portion of the invoice. So I'm going to pay 100. I'm going to confirm that selection. Here we can see that the issue date, as well as the original total of the invoice, the due date that has been populated by the credit terms on the account record, as well as the days left and the amount left to pay. So I'm going to confirm that. I'm also going to link our credit note. I'm going to use the entire value of the credit note and confirm that. And the balance due is $69.26. I'm going to pay that and view my receipt where I can see my details. And now what I am able to do is go and make another payment. If I come back to my invoice, I can see that it's there. I can select it. This time I'm going to take the full amount, confirm that, and I'm going to put this onto my credit card, and I'm going to make that payment. Here I can view my second receipt and share that with the customer. So what we've just seen here is the ability to issue an invoice, issue a credit note, all offline, capture a payment, partial payment, offset the credit note against the invoice, or two different payment methods against the invoice. I could additionally leave a balance to pay on that invoice, or a credit to consume on the credit note that would be available for the next transaction as well. That wraps up mobile. Just want to give a big thank you to our design team, engineering, and QA for a wonderful job. And back over to you, Nick. Thank you.
Thank you, Lyle, and thank you, Kate. What a fantastic set of new features and capabilities we're coming out with this release. I really can't wait to see what you, our customers, think of them as you get hands-on with them. And I just want to finish by saying a massive thank you to our customers and our partners for helping us build this product, for helping us drive these requirements. Really, without you, we would not be able to do this. So a huge thank you. And thank you for joining us on the webinar today. If you have any questions or you have any features you'd like to learn a little more about, please feel free to reach out to me or one of your success teams, and we'd be more than happy to do a deep dive and to take you through those features in detail. So I think we'll end the webinar there. So thank you, everyone, and have a good day.